Dad, Haley, Cody, Tyler, and Kelly. Picture this situation. You're an African-American woman in the mid-1900s. An African-American woman is crucial in this time because this is when segregation was happening. African Americans were looked down on, and women had just fought for their own rights as well. You are enjoying your day, minding your business, and living your life. You need to take a bus ride. You know this is going to be a challenge because public transportation was another thing that was segregated for whites and African Americans. African Americans were supposed to sit in the back. You enjoy your bus ride, however, you decide to sit in the front of the bus. Suddenly, a white passenger approaches you, asking for the front seat. You decide you've had enough of this segregation, so you simply say no. I am delivering this speech to you to inform you about the famous Rosa Parks. After many years of research on segregation and important figures during this time, including Rosa Parks, I want to relay this information to you all. During my speech, I will talk to you about Rosa Parks' early life, what she did to change our country, and the impact it left on our country as well as its citizens forever. To begin, I will talk about Rosa Parks' early life. Rosa Parks was born on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama, to James and Leona Macaulay. According to biography, both of her grandparents were former slaves, and both of them stood for racial equality. Rosa Parks' childhood brought many experiences with racial activism. Also, according to biography, at one point, she was with her grandfather, who stood outside their house while holding a shotgun while the Ku Klux Klan members marched down their street. In addition, Rosa Parks attended segregated schools. She was forced to walk to school until middle school. According to history, the schools for African Americans lacked resources, but luckily her mother taught her to read at a very young age. Also, according to history, after age 11, Parks attended the industrial school for girls until the 11th grade, where she dropped out to take care of her sick grandmother. She later earned her high school degree with the help of her husband, Raymond Parks. Now that we have talked about Rosa Parks' early life, let's talk about the day that changed not only her life, but also the future of our country. According to biography, bus drivers were given the same authority on the bus as a police officer. They also were required to separate the whites and African Americans on the bus, with the whites filling the seats from the front to the middle, and the African Americans filling the seats from the back to the middle. And once the seats were filled, African Americans were required to give their seats up for the whites and stand. According to women's history, one day after work, Rosa Parks boarded a Cleveland bus. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested. She was arrested for not listening to the bus driver's instructions to give her front seat on the bus to a white man. This became the beginning of a new era in a sense. This was the beginning of what was known as the Montgomery bus boycott. Now that we have talked about Rosa Parks' early life, as well as the day that made her famous, let's talk about the impacts that this day left on America and the African American culture forever. According to biography, after Rosa Parks was arrested, she was released on bail that night, awaiting her trial. Her trial was December 5th. On this day, members of African American communities were asked to take other methods of transportation in a protest to the buses for Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks lost her trial because she was found guilty of violating the city's laws. She was fined a total of $14 and was sent on her way. According to Achievements, this was the beginning of a 381-day bus boycott, or the Montgomery bus boycott, which ended up leading to a ruling in the Supreme Court that segregation of public transportation was unconstitutional. Also, according to Achievements, this eventually led to other segregation laws being removed, such as the Jim Crow laws. Today, the Montgomery bus boycott is looked at as one of the biggest mass movements against racial segregation in history. Rosa Parks is looked at as one of the most important women figures in history. She stood for racial equality, and while in the short run it may not have seemed like it was going to work, in the long run it has changed our country forever. We have talked about her childhood, what she is famous for, and how it has impacted our country. She is also known for pairing with another activist, Martin Luther King Jr., and the segregation movement. She is looked at as a hero today, is learned about in many schools, is in textbooks, and even has several books written about her. I believe she is very important in our country's history. The story in the beginning of my speech was Rosa Parks' story that day on the bus. We can only imagine what she was feeling that day. Does Rosa Parks' story influence you to change the world?